Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome again to another segment, Straight Talk with Grover Thornton. This program is designed to inspire, inform, and educate you on how governments will impact our lives, local, national, state. You know, we are in a crisis in this nation. Whether we're going to move to a dictatorship form of government, which Trump is trying to do, or are we going to have a democracy in which the mass of the people will like to continue? That has been going on for over 200 years, almost 250 years. I want to say something first. Yesterday was the anniversary of the March of Selma. Before we get into that, we have an honor to give Ms. Pat Gunn. As I told you before, she's been on the show about that square with that racist vice president was on it. And the square now has been named after Susie King Taylor, a black woman who was a nurse and in the Civil War, educating people and taking care of the wounds that they were received during wartime. We have Ms. Gunn on here. Ms. Gunn, welcome to Straight Talk again.
Yes, grand evening, Mr. Thornton. I'm always glad to come on your show. This is a wonderful show, and I'm so glad to be here. And I know the listeners are waking up. Call somebody and tell them that Straight Talk is on, Mr. Thornton. It's just an honor to be here.
And I want people to continue to spread the word because this is the only place, I know I'm the only person I do know in the city, and Mr. Hall's programs are talking about issues that affect our community. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in the most critical times in this nation has ever had to endure with that Trump administration. I'll get into all that because I got a segment of this program dealing with Trump, Musk, and I promise you I will tell you some of the inventions that black folk have done in this nation. But let's go with Ms. Gunn. Let me ask you a question. Of course, you were very instrumental. And by the way, I want y'all to know that Ms. Gunn is nationally known. She has been featured in one of the most prominent magazines in the nation. And what was that in the magazine, Miss Trump? I mean, Miss Gunn, I'm sorry. Call you Miss Trump. I apologize.
No worries. No worries. It's an international magazine in tourism. It's Condé Nast magazine. It's an international travel magazine, and we were honored to be on the front page last year. So we're just keeping up what we're doing, telling our story.
And it was another magazine that's real noted that people buy in this country. You know what? They feature in that magazine. I just can't recollect what it is.
Yes, sir.
It was another magazine, another travel magazine was another magazine. But anyway, she is noted for traveling over the country. Ms. Gunn, tell us and tell my audience when you went to Massachusetts and you also went to Connecticut, you were sent a plane ticket to come because they wanted to hear what you had to say about your program. Tell us very quickly about your program and why black folk ought to get involved with it. And sometimes you can call her, she'd tell you, I'd reach her, and she would take you on tours. She would take you to Mr. Law Grave. It's a place right by City Hall, which I did not know, and I'm well read. In Savannah, right by the City Hall, a place where they used to hold slaves until they sold them. My Lord. Go ahead, Ms. Gunn. Am I right on that?
Yes, you're correct. As a matter of fact, we had 2 tours today. We're partnering with Kelly Tours. So if you ever want to come on a tour, just call us up. It's Underground Tours in partnership with Kelly Tours. Now we can take you. I want to tell you that I am the co-founder of the Center for Jubilee and now the newly founded Susie King Taylor Foundation. I'm the director and founder. I wanted to say that we have had 1 year as of February the 10th for the unveil of the brand new name. So we have a brand new renamed square in honor of the first African-American woman, as well as the first woman in 270 years. And so now that we've got that done, phase 2 is we need to have a fancy statue in the middle of that beautiful square. And so it's time now to raise money. I pay homage to Dr. Abigail Jordan when they raised the money for the square on River Street. And so now it's time for us to put some funds together to get a beautiful square with her sitting in the center of it, Susie King Taylor, a free slave born in 1848. And she came to Savannah because her grandmother was an enslaved woman here. To make a long story short, they taught her how to read, write, and count. And they slipped off the river and went over to St. Simon's during the Civil War. And Susie King Taylor volunteered to be a washwoman, and she met Clara Barton. And Clara Barton was the founder of the Red Cross and taught Susie King Taylor, a young teenage girl, how to become a nurse. And she becomes the first African-American nurse on the Union side of the war. So we thought, let's take Calhoun out and put her in. So we've got the name, and now we have to raise money. I've been talking to sculptors around the nation. I've talked to our local sculptor, Jerome Meadows, who we've given a promise. We're going to let him lead the team to create this beautiful sculpture. And it's going to cost us at least $300,000. That's an estimate. And then I want to put another $200,000 in for scholarships for teachers and for nurses and for CNAs and for MAs. Because I'm a caregiver for my younger brother, I respect the caregiving community. And so we want to put these living scholarships. So I'm invited to Connecticut as well as Massachusetts, Greenfield. And I spoke in those places in November and December, and I'm crisscrossing back again, going across the country to raise money. We have raised right now $50,000 thanks to the National Truth Telling Project, with another promise of another matching 50. So we are getting ready to have at least 100,000 for the statue. So I'm just honored. I'm looking for ideas locally. What can we do to raise money? Some people have said, why don't you do a brick campaign like the Franklin Square with the Haitian Monument, and everybody buy a brick so that everybody's family name could be down there. So we're looking for ideas for it. But while we're looking, I'm going to go on out there again. I'm traveling again in the next month, and we're going to raise money across the nation for a Susie King Taylor statue. I want to challenge all the sororities. I think she would be wonderful in pink and green, AKAs, or maybe red and Delta. I don't know. I just know we need a statue there to show people that Susie King Taylor mattered, and she would look so nice in her own square, which happens to be on Taylor Street. Isn't that amazing? So yes, we're on our way to raising that money.
Now, one more thing, Ms. Gunn, before I move on to something else. You told me about it, and I'm well read, and a lot of things I didn't know. I understood Miss Reverend Small was on the local station last week or this week talking about the weeping time. You see, I want Black folk to understand. We are losing our places in history books. They're taking our books off the library. They're not allowing our great authors to write books for our people to read. So we have to depend upon ourselves reading and imparting the information that you know. Like I'm gonna tell you tonight, some of these adventures, they're in your house right now, and you never knew it was done by a Black person, invented it. Ms. Gunn, tell us very quickly about the marches from Atlanta to Georgia to Sherman, and how all these hundreds of people drowned in the river following the Union troops.
Yes, sir. We're talking about Ebenezer Creek. We talk about it every time we have a tour. We say, have you heard of 40 Acres and a Mule? And most people have. But what they don't understand is that on the way to Savannah was Sherman's March to the Sea, SEA. He sent a telegram to the city hall. I'm going to burn everything down until I get to the sea. And he did. He burned Atlanta, Macon, Millersville. But when he got right around Effingham County area, there's an Ebenezer Creek there. And as Sherman is coming into the city with 62,500 soldiers, those people that they freed along the way began to follow them. President Lincoln did not want them to follow, but they followed. If you free me, I'm going to follow as well. And so Sherman decided, as the generals were with him, we'll just categorize them as contraband, and they began to follow. At the urging of Frederick Douglass, William Lloyd Garrison, William Steele, and don't forget Sojourner Truth, they told President Lincoln, give them arms, not just have domestic servitude for these men of color. You are losing the war. And so they're collecting these men, and they get to Ebenezer Creek, and the men join the Union side of the war and tell their families, we're going to go with these soldiers on into St. Simon's Island. You guys are now free. And they go ahead of them. And as they cross the Ebenezer Creek with a pontoon bridge, Mr. Thornton, that they made out of roping, I want you to know the general at the bottom of that troop ordered them to cut the ropes. And when they cut the ropes, over 200 people drowned in the water at Ebenezer Creek. And those were elderly men, women, and children. Their families had already said, come follow us. And the men are already gone. They get over to St. Simon's Island, and a telegram comes to the general saying, all of the family members that have joined the war come this way. And they find out that all of their family members that they just left behind 2 days earlier drowned. Sherman is sanctioned by President Lincoln. Come to Washington when you get to Savannah, hurry. He goes there and he's sanctioned for the loss, the drownings. I want to make sure you know that it wasn't just a drowning, Lord have mercy. It was shootings by the Confederate side as well. So as they were fleeing, the Confederate army is following and they are shooting, and some of them were shot and drowned and some of them were simply drowned, but they were running away from the Confederates. I want you to know those 20 preachers that came to the Green Meldrum home had a conversation with General Slocum from Virginia, General Howard, both abolitionists who were hanging out at that house. General Howard later formed Howard University, and they asked these 20 preachers one question after the other, 12 total. And the first question was, what does freedom mean to you? And they were ready with Reverend Garrison Frazier saying, freedom to us means land. Give us the 40 acres of land, give us $200 for seed and one of those Union horses or mules, and we'll bother you no more. And so we believe that the compromise of the drowning at Ebenezer Creek was the result of Special Field Article number 15. In other words, we've lost our community and our families down there. What are you going to do to repair? And that's when they drafted Special Field Order number 15, giving out 400,000 acres of land right there at Second African Baptist Church. So we have a lot of information of history in Savannah that's really national history. And so I want to shout out First African Baptist Church and Second African Baptist Church, because that's where they gave out the land and read the Emancipation Proclamation. And you know the rest of the story. We kept that land for about a year. Lincoln is assassinated, and President Johnson took the land back because they had suspended the United States Constitution. Y'all stay awake. And when they suspended the U.S. Constitution, these war articles were in effect. But once the war was over, they went back to the Constitution, and President Lincoln took authority. President Johnson took authority, and we lost the land that they gave out. But special homage to Ebenezer Creek. We do believe they were responsible for repairing and giving us that first dispersion of that land. So there's a lot of information right here in our community.
Well, since I'm talking about Black history, excuse me, let me mention what Ms. Gunn involved me in. Ms. Gunn has a tour business, and people all over the country come to her to see her tour. 2 to 3 weeks ago, she invited me to lecture to 23 white students. There were 18 young men, high school students, and 2 or 3 girls. And they had the chaperones. The men had one, and so the girls. I spoke about Black history because February is designated Black history, but every month is Black history. We got to instill in our children about our race. I just told you they're taking us out of the books. They're taking the books off the bookshelves. Mm-hmm. So I lectured to these young men, and I told them, first thing I said, now let's get one thing straight here. First, I want you to understand. Number one, we are all made by Almighty God. This is His word. Let's understand it from the beginning. And I say to them, there's several races of people. I belong to the Negro race, and you belong to the Caucasian race. I held up a piece of white paper, and I said, now see here, that's white. You're not white. You remember the Caucasian race. And I said, nothing. Let me just tell you one or two things that Black folk have did to make this nation. First thing I told them, 20 Black men came from England and they landed in Virginia, at Jamestown, Virginia. Virginia was a colony that suffered for persons to work. They had a lot of work to be done, But these first 20 men came over now were not slaves. Get that understanding first. They were sent from England, I would say, as a punishment for what they've done and things like that. So they sent them over to the colonies out of the country to another country. A lot of them worked, made money, brought their freedoms, and then these 20 men came in. So then somebody from America called the book I'm reading, and the man says, maybe we can go over to Africa and bring a lot of them to be slaves, where we can multiply them and also get all these swamps dug out, get all this work done. And that's where slavery really got started. Well, I'm going to take a little minute break, and I'm going to come back in to tell you how I shot those young people.
Thank you.
Take a little break for a moment. Thank you. Be right back.
Hello, world. We're here serving Savannah, Atlanta, Jacksonville, Brooklyn, Houston, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, and the world. The best music all the time. The greatest songs ever made, every time. Tune in to Hot 2100 Savannah and get a taste for your ears. Hot 2100 Savannah, serving Savannah and the world.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back down from that little break. I will mention to you a few inventions. I have to mention these because they were in conjunction with the tour with the white students. They came from Oklahoma. And remember, Oklahoma was a state in which that young man, Timothy LaVey, or whatever his name was, blew up the federal building and killed hundreds of young babies at a daycare center, along with some other people. And of course, Clinton put him in the lecture chair. That's where he went. That's where he should have been from the beginning. Let me just say this too. I say to them now, listen to me very clearly, young people. I said, if you got in an automobile, this was one of the two inventions, but I got to say this was a connection with the lecture I gave them. I said, if you get in an automobile and you put your foot on the brakes and you stop your car at the red light, you know who was in the red light, ladies and gentlemen? A black man. And so what shocked me, the gentleman who was a chaperone, he hollered, Mr. Thornton, I got it. Because I told them they could Google that up, see for themselves. And when the man said, oh, I got it. And he showed it to the students. I said, before he showed it, I said, his last name is Morgan. I can't correct his first name right this moment. And the man said, here it is right here. And he showed the picture to the students. And you can't consider the fact that he's white. He was completely black. And when I say black, that's what I mean. I said, he invented the red light. I said, now, many of us have had individuals in our families that have to go to the hospital and they have to have surgery. And when you got to have surgery, that blood is coming out, so you got to have some blood to replace that. So who invented the blood bank? See, our young people need to know these things. And if parents taught you to tell you, you can tell anything else you want to tell one to another. Tell about good things about our race. So I said to the people, who invented the blood bank? It was a black scientist from Washington, D.C. at Howard University. He invented the blood bank. Charles Drew is his name. Dr. Charles Drew. And people say, I don't want no white blood. I don't want no black blood. I don't take no black blood. I want no white blood. That's white folks say, black folks say that foolishness. The man considered a way to take the plasma. He invented that, take the plasma out of the blood. And he started a way to reserve blood in the blood bank, a black man. And the country of England hired him to come over to England and set up a blood bank program, the save blood and preserve blood. That's what the blood bank does. And unfortunately, he was killed in a car accident. He was a professor at Howard University in Washington, D.C. As Ms. Gunn just said about General Howard when she was speaking, that's Howard University, named after him. He was a general in the Union Army, and he knew that black folk had the ability to learn. And so he sponsored a bill in the Congress. So okay, what Trump cut or anybody else, that money has to always go to Howard University. So I wanted to talk about that. Now, I'm going to take a minute. Excuse me, my mouth is dry, drink of water. And we'll talk about that sorry man Trump. There has been no president in the history of this country that served as a criminal. Now, if he had 34 felons, if Obama would have had just one, you know what they'd have been saying? We don't want no criminal as the president. Look at him, he's been a criminal, he done this, he done. This man has 34. And I told y'all last month. Then I tell you, put your thinking cap on. I told you that this man's going to be dangerous. People kept telling y'all, don't vote for this man. Now, personally, I didn't want Ms. Harris. I'm on the Democratic Committee and on the State Democratic Committee. But I'm on the National Democratic Committee. I got my card to go show you if you want to see it. I didn't want Ms. Harris because if Mrs. Clinton, a white woman, did get elected, what in the world thought they were going to elect a black woman? Okay, how smart she is. Oh, well, baby, didn't they make a mistake? They're crying like nothing. And when I hear that, I think of the word, God's word. God sends his sun and rain to fall on the just as well as the unjust. The rain don't say, oh, it's going up out of rain here for the just people. Just follow the rain here for the unjust people. No. God sends the sun on all his children, just and unjust. So the unjust people, they voted for Trump. Now they are crying. I told y'all last month about that 2025. What was going to do? Because I sat there one night, watched that man had 900 pages, and it took them 4 years. They went from one thing to the other, one thing to the other, until they put that in action. Trump lied. He's the biggest liar in the world. He lied that he didn't know anything about it. He lied about the election was stolen. He lied. Then he turned around and let 15 criminals out of jail for what they've done. Killed 7 people. Officers lost their lives. This man gonna pay hard. I'll say something to y'all, but I'll hold that till later on till it happens. But I'm gonna tell you one thing. When he did that, and those people went there and voted, now they're suffering. All this fine for people on one thing to the other. Look at him. You're gonna have more bankruptcies, more foreclosure on people going to lose their homes, more suffering, cutting Medicare, cutting from the poor people, from medicine, Medicare, cutting the other type, not the Medicare, the Medicaid, poor families, not only black families. And I'm going to tell y'all one thing, more white folks lost their jobs than black people. Y'all know that because they didn't want to have those jobs. Because when those buildings were knocked down in New York by the airplanes, they didn't know how to call no black people names. It was this name, that foreign name everywhere around. But I don't want nobody to lose their jobs. I don't want anybody. It's suffering people. We all are God's children. And suffering children. That's what got me. Babies want to cut food lunch programs. Want to cut Meals on Wheels. I give $25 every month out of my American Express card for Meals on Wheels. My friend, brother-in-law died. He was one of the persons that were delivering food to senior citizens. Now, some senior citizens cannot get to a stove and cook. Some senior citizens depend on that meal every day. And this man is taking the food out of their mouths. Do you think God pleased with that? Y'all sit and watch what I tell you. That's all I got to tell you. I waited that and then I'll tell you. But I'm going to tell you this. God is not pleased. I don't want nobody to lose their jobs. Now, during the Democratic convention, and all after the convention. You kept hearing Mr. President Biden before the convention, and Ms. Harris said the same thing. Where's that piece of paper? I didn't bring it with me to show you this magazine where it says 2/3 of the corporations. I didn't say businesses, I said corporations. We had a group of people, Republicans, white Republicans. They went before the Supreme Court, won the case, Citizens United. Citizens United, where corporations can put any amount of money they want in the campaigns and they buy the votes and all. That's what our Supreme Court did. The conservative Republican Supreme Court. They can buy the election. That's what they're doing. Buy the election. And so what happened? What they're doing? They taking all these jobs away from people. Now President Trump gave all the billionaires and the millionaires a $2 trillion, listen to me well, a $2 trillion tax break. He met with all of them and he wants to do it again. So how they going to get the money? They're not going to buy more money because we all got $36 trillion that we have already in this nation. So what are they going to do? Do all this massive cutting. They're paying all the money. They're paying $80 billion per year. All the millions of dollars for this program, that program, this program, that program. Cut the jobs so the money won't be going to the workers. The money be going back into the treasury for the $2 trillion he's giving away to the millionaires, the billionaires. That's what he wants to do. And I told y'all last month, I said those people went before the election. They go damn the day and curse the hour if he ever voted for him. And the white lady was on the television the other day. If I hadn't known this, I never would have voted for him. What do you mean she hadn't known? He had plenty of people telling us how dangerous this man was, telling them about that 2025 agenda that they have. And that's what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing. They're doing that 25 thing they're doing on American people, suffering American people. And now what about the veterans? What about the veterans? Thousands of dollars they were paying to take care of veterans. You have veterans, black and white, in wheelchairs, lost their arms, lost their legs. And they gave them the option of the first preference. They got so many points for being a veteran when they applied for a job. Now, if a veteran, let's look at that as an example. If a veteran got no legs, he's in a wheelchair. He got his check coming. You cut him off. How's he going to live? And he gave his life for democracy, for his country. How is he going to live? He does not care. He does not care. But let me just get on you with Mr. Bush for a minute. When I told you about the 20,000 corporations, 2/3 for 2 years had not paid not one dime, and long before Trump. Get me fair about this. I try to be fair. You heard President Biden say the same thing. You heard Ms. Harrison say the same thing. Pay your fair share. Pay your fair share. Well, when it's time for income tax time, what they do, they get these lawyers who know all the laws on taxation. And what do? They do everything to write off. So they wind up paying no taxes. Cut these breaks. We used to have years ago, you used to be trying to file income tax. You go around to all the places where you were paying a bill, whether the furniture bill, automobile bill, whatever it is. Will you please give me the interest I paid? A lot of people had a lot of money coming back because you got the interest on your automobile, interest on this, interest on that. Ronald Reagan and Ronald Reagan had cut them off, and Nixon. They cut back on all the interest and stuff. So the only interest you got is the interest on your house. And they tried to do that, but too many of them in the Congress, they're buying their house. They don't want to pay all that taxation. So that's what they did. That's what they're doing, suffering people. They are suffering American people. And children, that would get me. School lunch program, man was talking about these people on Medicaid and Medicare. Poor people, and they're suffering. and to add insult to injury. If I've been around that man, I'd have cursed him out. I know I don't have to apologize, but when I got through cursing him, insult, just doing it, laughing, suffering people and laughing about it. How sad it is. And you got all of them in Congress scared of him. One representative in the Congress came down against him as a Republican. He wants to punish that man. I don't say I to sleep at night. But here's what we got to do to help eradicate this problem. We get off our backsides next year and vote. You got to vote the Republicans out of office, every one of them. Thank God for the people that started a nation. I don't understand how they could have a nation. And Thomas Jefferson write this stuff about the pursuit of happiness and with slavery. Thousands of people jumped off the ships into the ocean, stolen from their land. I'm going to tell you, I can talk all day long. I can talk 5 hours about the books I read and suffering black folk had done. Imagine a mom and a child, and they sell the mama away from a little 13-year-old girl. She cried all night long. Think about the fact is that they take all those black girls when they just reach puberty and you send them up there to live with the master. What's she going to do? Not send upstairs when they told her to send her? And I told you about Willie Lynch told the man the best way to keep your slaves in line. Beat them buck naked. And they be scared, they fear you. Man, we've been through hell here in this country. But God is still with us. He delivered us. He has his own way. And I'm telling you, just stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. And then when that happens, I'm going to tell you what it is. Now, let me just say this. I don't know how long I'm going to live being a 91-year-old man, but as long as I got this mouth I can talk, I'm going to push for my people. I'm going to push. And I've done this since I was 17 years old when I met Thurgood Marshall, who went before the Supreme Court 32 times and won 29 cases for justice, freedom. Other people can come from this country and live better than me. Just like you invite me to your house and I take it over. I'm just telling you the truth tonight, and I'm just telling it like it is the way I feel about it. I'm sick when I see these people losing their jobs. It got nothing to do with no color. Ability. They used to say a black man can't be no quarterback. But I give that big excellent quarterback man was a coach at Alabama, Bear Bryant. When they wanted to play Alabama, play Southern California, they didn't want. Oh, no, black folks can't play against the white people. I can't wait. And people, you're good and you're bad. I sit out late at night and watch that forensic story television, things be happening. One white boy asked his mama for money. His mama refused to give him drug money. When she turned her head, he took a hammer and busted in the head. Can't be no nastier than that. Then there's a black guy knocking on the door to sell magazines. This white lady came down decent, minding her business in her house, working on a computer. He pushed the woman down, killed the woman, and the man had them out. They were on parole, and they were making a decent living, trying to come back to society, and knocking on the door, selling magazines, and did that, and had the audacity to call his boss, the man. Well, I got an emergency. I got to go back to New York, and we find that woman dead. Somebody saw him, getting into a van and saw him, and then he left and got on the Greyhound bus to go to New York. But I got news for him. When he got to Virginia, the people waiting right there for him. Throw him in a chair. That's what he ought to be. Taking people's lives like that for nothing. It's shameful. I don't know what's coming to our world. And then you're starving people. You know, ladies and gentlemen, y'all don't know anything. When I was a little boy and during President Roosevelt's time, I was in high school today. Not high school, elementary school, I'll never forget. But by the 4th, 5th grade when he died. And they let us go home. I'll never forget that. But when he, after the Depression, when he instituted the security plan, Social Security, they tried to kill him. In fact, he went down to Miami and somebody shot to assassinate him and kill somebody else. Because the business corporation people did not want to pay the portion of your Social Security on your payroll check. You pay a portion, he got to pay so much percentage of it. Your employer. That's what, and you're the employee, and that's what they have to do. So we're suffering. 20,000 companies, 13,333, 2/3 of the 20,000 corporations for the last 6, 7, 10, or 15 years more, pay no taxes, get all that written off. Why don't they be saying, talk about the fair share? Then they'll have enough money coming in, we don't have to lay nobody off. And like I said, I get hurt, anger with anybody who worry about people, poor people. Even though Jesus said the poor have with you always. But let me just say this. I got to take another minute break, and I'll be right back. Be right back. Thank you for listening. I'm here.
Savannah, are you looking for some of the best Southern soul food? Then check out Kim's Cafe at 714 MLK Boulevard. The food is so good, you'll think that your mother cooked it. Located in the heart of Savannah, Kim's has a menu that includes breakfast anytime, lunch when you need it, and dinner so you won't have to cook when you get home. They also cater all types of events and can host your reserved event at the restaurant. Come see what everyone has been raving about. Great food, great atmosphere, and a great time. Kim's Cafe, 714 MLK Boulevard in beautiful downtown Savannah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back here. Let me tell you what really motivates me to speak the way I do about Black history and to speak the way I talk about the things that Black folks have done constructively in this nation. Here's what motivates me. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. You find it in Proverbs, the 31st chapter, in the 8th verse, the word of God. Speak up for those who cannot speak up for yourself. Now I'm going to tell you this right here about an anniversary that was yesterday. The 60th anniversary of the march from Selma, Alabama to Montgomery, Alabama for the right to vote. In Selma, Alabama, first thing, the 15th Amendment to the Constitution, 1870, gives you the right. The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments really were designed to put African Americans into the main line of American society. Now, they don't look at, there were 5,000 soldiers worked to kill themselves and got killed, a lot of them for the Union. And when the revolution to get away from England, the first man died was a black man. So we've always fought for this nation, every war. And yet we were treated like second-class citizens by a bunch of racist people who ran this country. And that Russell V. Hayes, that he was the one that caused a lot of trouble for us today, because he pulled the troops out of the South. That's what he did. Nobody told you about last month, remember? Nobody won the election and wound up in the House of Representatives. And wound up in there, they made a deal. They pulled the troops out of the South if they give Russell B. Hayes the presidency. And that's what they did. At that time, it was 164 electoral votes. Now today, it's 270. And that's how what happened. When the side came from Montgomery, Alabama to march on Washington in 1965. Excuse me a second. You showing the pictures?
Yes.
Ma'am?
He's going to put them up.
Are you showing them?
Yes, sir.
These are the pictures. That first picture will be, you can see the troops in, that President Lyndon Johnson, when they cover that bridge, you see that little piece of writing that's on one of the pictures. It states, they called it Bloody Sunday. People all over the nation saw that. You had the president, the sheriff of the city was, his name was Clark. And what he did, they went to John Lewis and Jose Williams from Savannah, Georgia, right here. He went all over the nation, in jail, beaten and all of that for justice. He marched right here in Washington, in Savannah. I ran right here with him, marched with him at night, right here in Savannah. And I don't know why they want to name nothing after that man. That man went all over this nation in the South, fight for justice and civil rights. When y'all getting on these buses, when y'all sitting down eating, when y'all doing this, y'all don't know what the hell we went through. Shot dead, beaten. And am I crazy to say with a group of us, we laid in the middle of the Bay Street like we crazy. But we were sacrificed for justice. We were sacrificed for the unborn children in this country. Black folk gave their lives for this nation. And somebody coming here, they ain't never paid a dime in this tax. Never done nothing in there. And one of the worst things in the world that hurts me when I think about it, the farmers, the black farmers, their own government couldn't give them the money to run their farm, to buy the equipment. Thank God President Obama finally did it. He made them give those people their monies. They producing food to feed American people and your own government. Don't give you the money to buy your tools to do the work. And that's what they did. And then when they went across that bridge, they beat women. Oh, but baby, the final day's coming one day. Oh, every man in this world, every bone, will stand at the judgment seat of Christ. Y'all can think if you want to. Every man will stand, pay for your deeds. And suffering people like this. Oh, you're going to pay for it. Suffer the farmers, your own country. Your own country. The guy came and made me felt shame, like I told you before when I was in Germany, going from the library. Got to know the German man who was in charge of they hired all the German citizens to do the work, in charge of the union. This man said to me, yes, I was in the German army, but I was a captain, but I was not a Nazi, but I was drafted. What could I do? And got mad with Cassius Clay, that boy went to go into another religion. He has a right to go to religion. First Amendment to the Constitution tell you that. And soon as he got into religion, or the Muslim religion, he has a right to do that. They turned around and reclassified him, put him in jail. 3 years, his man couldn't even make a living in boxing. Racism is a hell of a thing. And it's rooted. You can't blame the decent white children today for what their four parents did. But that's why most of them are the big corporations that got all this money. They got it from our free labor. That's where they got it from. Like Lincoln said, 250 years of unrequited toil, working from sundown to the morning. Can't see night, can't see day. That's how we worked. And raping our young women. And then because somebody married a white girl, what the hell they thought about all of what they did our white women all through the history, over 250 years. And the Bible says you reap what you sow. And it's coming to America. We got a president tied down every day to a dictator, Putin. You know, the people said on TV the other day, they say, Russia must have got something on Trump. He's turning against our allies. Never in history this happened. NATO. Let me just give you a little background on this business, what happened with Russia so involved. When Germany was under Adolf Hitler, all the people loved him, went after him, just like they went for Trump. Now they're suffering. They're losing their job. They're losing their home. They're using bankruptcies and all of that. And I pray that something got to be done, and it will. Well, let me tell you, Russia was under Joseph Stalin, dictator, killed more people than anybody. He had a Holocaust all by himself before the Germans did all that to the Jews. Joseph Stalin, he was rude, had no feelings for anybody. You know, who started a communist country was a man named Lenin. Tough man. And Stalin took over after him. They did all this stuff for power, killing each other, one thing to another. Adolf Hitler took Poland, he took Czechoslovakia, and Holland was an independent country. He threw that treaty away. He took Holland, he took Denmark, he took Belgium. He was powerful, had a powerful army. And after the First World War, in certain areas he was not supposed to go. he threw that treaty in the trash and took over that land and built a great army. So Joseph Stalin, the Russians, needed America. So America tied in with Russia to defeat Germany. Russia's always been an adversary. I don't know whether it's true or not, but it was in the movie now, but I don't know whether this statement was true or not. Patton, who was a great general with the tanks, and he was something. He was outstanding. And he said, well, we have to fight the Russians one day. Let's go and make a reason to start fighting them right now. And Russia had been an adversary to America since 1945 and before. And Trump bowed down to Putin. He even said one time that Putin was better than Obama. I would never put my president down. For a dictator? And that debacle that happened the other day in the Oval Office, y'all be ashamed. They're trying to put it on Mr. Alinsky. He did it. No, Trump had no decency. He had no character. He's a thug. That's what he is. He's a thug in the White House. Now they're reaping his output that he's putting on them. That's what he did. And we tied in with Russia. And after that, Russia and our government, a big gulf came between them. The common, every president. And you had tough leaders. And you turn around and you had Gorbachev. He was a decent man. And Ronald Reagan, I would give Reagan one thing. I got to give the devil was doing. Reagan was tough. I gave him that. He didn't give a doggone about black people. I can tell you that. He was made when they try to accuse Dr. King of being a communist. Because you up there fighting, you want to be decent and freedom, you're a communist. And not only that, we don't want no agitators and coming into this. If you remember America, you ain't no stranger. You ain't no outcast. You ought to be able to go in this state, you ought to go in. Because they want to keep their injustice going. Lost our lives. Grew up the bum. Grew up the children in Sunday school. Oh my God, in the church. Shot Meg Evans in the back like a dog. Because he want freedom. Well, Christ was thrown on the cross to save us. He didn't make no sin. He didn't do that. And that's why she's showing these pictures with Dr. King and President Johnson is signing the 1965 Voters' Rights Act. And they've done everything to undo that. Gerrymandering. They turn and bring, you got a district here with a lot of black folk in it. We've got a little more black folk than white folk. And what they do, they bring in another piece of the land to dilute the votes over here. And if the Republicans want black people, what got me, the Republican Party was the one that freed black people. Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. Eric Jackson from Illinois was a big, powerful Republican. That's what he was. But now the party is the Trump party now. Country has never seen this type of embarrassment in history. But let me tell you something. You go back and read some history. Rome was one of the powerful countries in the world. Back in 16th, 17th century, was so powerful. The Pope could have you executed. The Pope had the power. And Rome fell, not from invasion. The Rome fell from within. Now Russia invaded Ukraine. And so we were given help to retain. Now Trump wants to suffer the man for the minerals that you give us all your minerals, we give you all this money. But it's for freedom. The children in Ukraine wants to have freedom. They want peace. They want tranquility. Putin wants to be a dictator, he is, and he wants to bring in other land. He already annexed Crimea. Now he wants to annex Ukraine. And some of these other small states around, he wants to annex them to Russia. That's why they had it. It used to be the Soviet Union. And a lot of them got their freedom. And Trump tied them down to him. Unbelievable. No American president has ever done that. Never. They stood strong. And more than the presidents. They did strong. Now you take President Bush. I was no Republican, but he was a decent man. President Bush started that program, U.S. aid to Africa. Now, that ain't every country in Africa. Some countries are standing tall and good. But this happened to be a small country. Children are starving. And Bush started that aid, bringing food over. America gets the resource. They ain't doing all that for nothing. They get benefit from what they're doing. But at least the man had enough insight and respect and judgment that he's doing that. And must. And let me tell you something about him. He came from South Africa, that terrible country with apartheid that went on for years. The minority of white folk were controlling the millions and millions of black Americans. Not Americans, I'm sorry, black Africans. And even Mandela, he remembered an organization they had, the National Organization of Black Folk. And what they do to that decent man, they threw him in jail for 27 years because he wanted to be treated with freedom, liberty, justice. They want to condemn us for the color of our skins. You don't condemn me for that. You're talking to the wrong man, I told a white man one time. See, can you communicate with God? Ask him why he made me my color. You're not white. But I told that white man years ago, I always speak up and speak out. Never been scared. I'm 91 years old now. God has spared me for a reason. And when I go home to him, I want to rise one day. I don't want to see Christ. I want to go with him because everybody go see him. But we start that separation. That's what happens. That's what. And I want to be in the number of going down the east of the road for the structure very, very wide. But the other road is very narrow. I want to be in that narrow road myself. I ain't never been no angel now. But what I love most about the scriptures, Jesus say these words. He does not have a formula to say, well, when you make 100 forgiveness from me, it's over. No. That's what's so blessed about him. Here's what the word says. As often as you sin and confess your sin to him, he is just to forgive you of your sin and cleanse you from all unrighteousness. Now, who wouldn't love a man like that? How can you say you love him and you hate your brother? Not my word. Here's the book. The lie and the truth not in you. You know, I'm sitting up I'm going to confess to you. I'm sitting up there with this show tonight because I promised I'm going to tell y'all something conventions. Mr. Hall, so I can go over 10 minutes or so. I had to go to the emergency. I don't know whether my kidney or whatever, but anyway, you go to Walton, the girl, lady sent the prescription to Walgreens, drugstore a little by me, and man called me and said, I'm sorry, Mr. Tom, we out of the medicine to Tuesday, and I'm suffering in pain. I said, what about you? Don't you have another drugstore on Grand Avenue? And they called over and Dr. Dick, I knew him personally he works there all the time in the drugstore. So he called me and told me that I could go today and pick it up my son this morning. So while I didn't go to the hospital. I went to one like intermediate med, but it was not intermediate med. It was called Applecare or something like that around by Savannah Mall. My son said he would go there, so he took me there. And the young lady who was the assistant to the doctor asked me all the questions and all of that. And I just said, oh, you're a very nice lady. I like talking to you. I don't know how we got on the Christian thing, but I asked her, was she a Christian? I said, well, I respect everybody got to believe what they want to believe, but because they got to stand before the Supreme Judge one day for yourself. She said, oh, thank God I'm a Christian. I said, good. I said, did you know that a black man carried Christ's cross to be crucified on, picked it up and took it on up to Golgotha? She said, no, I didn't know that. I said, I often wonder why white preachers during April, y'all cut on your TV and watch for yourself, And if any one of you hear it, call me on my phone. I'm in the phone book. And so, oh, it's like the Reverend so-and-so, I watched the TV during Easter, and he mentioned about the black man carrying Jesus' cross. And one white man never said it. Billy Graham, national TV, heard him say it himself. That girl was so shocked she didn't know what to do. She said, what? For real? I said, I think, I'm not sure. I think it's in, we got Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. But one of them is not in. I think it's not in John. But Matthew, Mark, Luke, that's where you find it. I say, I don't know exactly what chapter it is, but how you can find it. Go to almost the last chapters in the book where he's going to the cross. Chapter 27, from the 27th chapter on down, you see. It's in 3 of those books. Not one, but I think it's not in John, but it's in Matthew, Mark, Luke. And she said, oh, I didn't know that. I said, I just wonder why white ministers don't want to mention that. They're scared of the truth. To tell people that a black man carried Jesus' cross. So I said to her, I said, the man's name was Simon of Cyrene. I said, Cyrene was a country in Africa. I don't know if you look on the map, you see no Cyrene. Just like if you look on the map in the Middle East, and where Jesus was, you don't see no Capernaum. That was a beautiful, I like that name, Capernaum. He went there all the time. Apostle Paul and all of them. So they changed the names, young lady. I don't know why, but that's what they did. But you check it out for yourself. That girl was shocked as she'd be. I said, when you check it out and you see it, go to your pastor. Say, why you didn't ever tell me this right here? This black man, Simon of Cyrene, was the man that took up Jesus' cross. He didn't fuss. When that soldier ordered him to do it, he did it. And I blessed him that he did. She said, oh, I sure am. I'm real shocked. And that's, I'm going to tell you something that's true. I'm going to tell you something that's true. Billy Graham said that on national TV. And I'm going to tell you all, listen, because you don't pick up the Bible. Half of y'all don't read God's word. You don't need a line about it. I don't read it every day, but I read it. And I learned a lot of things about it because I went to Sunday school just about every day in my life when I was a young child. But let me tell you, I say this to her. I say, what make me laugh sometime and I see pictures of Jesus with a blue eye and blonde hair. I say, you want to know what Jesus looked like? I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you what he looks like. You get your Bible. When I get off this show, go get your Bible if you got one. If you ain't got none, go buy one from Walmart. I ask one of your friends. Look at the first chapter in the book of Revelations. The first chapter. I told that young lady last night. First chapter of Revelation. I'm talking to you. You don't know about the Bible. You'll see what Jesus looked like, what color he was. First chapter. Revelation, book of Revelation. That's the last book in the Bible. First chapter. And it describes him. I told that girl last night. It says hair. I don't have none now, but I had beautiful hair years and years ago. I say, his hair is what the Bible say, was like a lamb. Lamb got hair like wool, like black folk. And then I say, read it for yourself. His feet was like brass. I told that girl last night, I said, I ain't never seen no white brass. She said, sure, you never been no white brass. She said, I can't wait till I get home to get my Bible and look that up for myself. Show you, you can change things, but you can't change God. The word say this is his world. This is his world. And he knows when to bring her in. Now I'm going to tell y'all some of the inventions that America's black folk have done. I already told you about the blood. I already told you about the bus, the red light. Now, would you believe, you got this right in your house, a gentleman named Walter Sammons, S-A-M-M-O-N-S. He invented the comb that you comb your hair with. A gentleman named Lord Ray. He invented the dustpan that you have in your house. A gentleman named Thomas Stewart invented the mop that you mop your floor with. See, these are things that in your house, in the white folk house and everybody else, that black folk invented, they're using right today. Now, here's this guy here named George Salmon, S-A-M-O-N. He invented the clothes dryer. The clothes dryer. You see, when they take the books out of I doubt whether they're in the books in the first place, but at least they took the books out of the school, they won't even find it anyhow. When I was in school, the only thing I knew about was George Washington Carver, a black man. He was a great man. He was a scientist. And I got to give it to Alabama. They got him in this private building where they have all the great things that happen in Alabama. George Washington Carver is in there because he was a great scientist. He took potatoes and made all kind of stuff. And when I went to Alabama, I saw the house that Booker T. Washington lived in, and I also saw his lab where he did all his experiments and everything. This man now, get this, George Standard, a black man. These things here are created by black men. He created the refrigerator. He created the refrigerator. So I wish y'all have children writing some of these things down so when they get in Black History Month again, they can say, if you don't have people like myself, that's why I constantly give praise and honor to Mr. Hall, because we're the only ones talking about Black history. I don't know about this. Maybe some of the preachers are saying it in the churches. I don't know. I doubt it. Maybe one or two. They don't know nothing about our history. They don't know nothing about the scriptures. But I give the Jewish people one thing. In the Jewish religion, they started their children learning about Shabbos. That's strict Jewish stuff. And they learn all about this, their rulers and everything, about their kings and all of that. That was the Jewish. And when they become 12 years old, we call it baptism, but they call it another word, but that's what happens to them. They're able then to stand on their own about their religion. Now, another invention here. Okay, this got something for a woman. I was shocked when I read that. Well, I got this information 25 or 30 years ago. I have in my library. I spoke to some young kids out of elementary school. I had to kind of break it down, read talking to them in 3rd and 4th grade. But anyway, this teacher gave this. She said, Mr. Thornton, I did a lot of research on him. And you know, this is Black History Month. It was Black History Week at that time. Of course, it was started by Howard University in 1926. And she said, I'm going to give this to you because you might need it one day. Not knowing that I'm going to be on some internet program. And I kept it. Put it with a lot of my memorabilia. And when Mr. Hall allowed me the privilege, which I'm thankful to him, to speak to my people. We don't have no strong leadership in Savannah anymore. If something happened, I think I got one man I call on to speak out on it, and that's Reverend Leonard Smalls. Dr. Mitchell used to do it. We don't have nobody speaking out. You drag somebody, put a black person, drag him down the street on a car, and some of the ministers wouldn't even say nothing. A lot of things going on need to be spoken out. But anyhow, times have changed. Now, this lady invented the furnace, the heating furnace. I couldn't believe that woman did that. And okay, now, here's something you use every day in school, I do know. And you have it individually, you bought them small. I got one small right there. A pencil sharpener was invented by a gentleman named John Love. And a gentleman named Purvis, William Purvis, he invented the fountain pen. Now, you also only one of the things black folks invented. And I didn't know a lot of these things until I got that list and started looking and reading it. That a lot of these things that black folk invented. You had another gentleman named, what's his name? Named Love. He invented the printing press. And here's what this one here. A gentleman named John Brewer, B-U-R-R, he invented the lawnmower. Now, all of us have seen a light bulb. When you take a light bulb and look at it, you see a little filament in the light bulb. Now, Edison getting all the credit for that. But this man was working with him. He the one invented that filament that caused the bulb to light up. We have done a lot of great things. And I got more than that. Next time I'll read some more of things that black folk have engineered and put into effect that all of us see today. Well, in a few more moments, I'm going to be going for the night. But like I say, let me tell you about lust. I'm going to end with Muss. Muss has 52. I have my brother to Google it up for me. He had, if you remember last time I say, he had a conflict of interest as far as I could see, and I want to read one person mention that. Muss has 52 contracts with the U.S. government. Total some kind of $80 million or so. You don't see him cutting none of that. Now, he built these electric cars, Telstar, whatever it is, and a lot of people took a downturn this month. People not buying them. I wish it get worse and worse. He shot something up in the air in the midst of the other day, blew up, and I hope it blew up every time he sued it. Because he's an evil person. He's filthy rich. He's evil. So everything's in the hands of God. And y'all just watch and see. Y'all just watch. Y'all just watch. Well, I'm going to come to the end of the show tonight, and I hope that I've been able to educate you on some things. I told you that the main premise is to educate and inspire you, maybe inspire you to go to the library. We got to keep our children intact. We got to teach them more of God's ways. Sunday school, just about every church that doesn't have one now. And that's all black folk ever had, basically. A few businesses in the churches and a few black schools. All the materialistic belong to the white people. But you got a lot of poor white people now. So when black folks suffer, they suffer a lot of poor white people. And as I told you from the beginning, the separation, now they're reaping. Vote for Trump. Now they're saying they wish they had not voted for him. Too late. And he knows this. Trump knows he cannot run again. And you cannot put him out there. He going to walk a line where you can't find nothing to impeach him. So he's laughing at you. He lied and said, I'm going to bring down groceries. Groceries going up higher because of the man economic chart I saw yesterday. No coming down, they're going up. Eggs, $8 a dozen. Well, my time is about up, and I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. And I tell the truth on the show. That's just me. And I just say if the shoe fits you, you got to put it on. So in conclusion, I want to say thank you for listening. And I'll be here again, Lord's willing, the second Saturday next month with some more information. And I hope that my next show will have some improvement on the living condition. And now he wants to cut away the Department of Education. Terrible, 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 terrible. But God still runs this country and this world. So let us continue to work for peace, keep our eyes on the prize, trust in God to lead us and bring a good end to all our suffering and all our trouble we have in this life. So have a very good night. Thank you very much for listening. Now that.
Like this.